What's up, soldiers? Thanks for joining me on this video today where we're going to talk about the novice versus the open class in strongman. Which one should you do and why? And also, when is it time for you to move on from the novice class if that's what you're competing in? So, before we get started, please do me a favor, hit the like button, and please click subscribe to the channel to get more content on strongman and all things getting swole in the mind, body, and soul. Okay, so this past weekend, I ran a series of shows. It was the Beast of the Bay in Tampa, Florida, and then also it was the USS Masters Pro Worlds and Amateur Florida State Championships, okay? So we had a lot of competitors over the weekend. I think our total was 104, and that was about 30 total novices. I think actually about 28. Okay, now every year I tend to see a couple of people that have done novice a handful of times. And while that's not necessarily a bad thing, some of those people, in all honesty, had no business being in novice. Now, by rule, especially for USS, United States Strongman, the only rule is if you have ever won a single novice division, you are no longer allowed to do novice again. Otherwise, I personally don't have a lot of control in who's doing novice and who's doing open. So this video is about, decisions that you need to make as the athlete to figure out where you want to be when you're doing these shows. So let's just kind of break down what the novice division is first before we get into this. So, novice is typically regarded as a lower skill and lower experience level. This is something that a lot of first timers will do, okay? Now, I've had many people, in fact, they come to their first show and they've never even been in attendance at a strongman competition. So if you have no idea the level of scale of your competition or what's going on, it would make sense then that you might want to sign up for the novice division if you don't know any better. So like we talked about earlier, the only hard rule of whether you can or cannot be a novice is if you've ever won a novice show, you cannot do the novice division. But that doesn't mean second place or third place or even, fourth or fifth in a very competitive field. We had 17 novice men and I think 11 novice women in this show. So naturally, that's not going to be all of these low skill, low experience people. It's not going to be all first timers. Okay. Now, I think that you as an athlete, you need to boil this down to what do you really want out of competing in strongman? If you want to get better, you really should consider who you're around and who you're competing with and what those numbers, challenges, events are in the competition. This is something you need to not be afraid to zero or, some people would say fail. It's not a failure. People are going to zero things sometimes, but that's part of your journey as an athlete. I've zeroed many overhead events in my career, but once I started looking at higher level competitions and harder shows, that was right in line with my trajectory to improving and increasing my overhead strength because I started to take it a little more seriously. I hired a coach that could get me there, and I figured out what I needed to do in order to get better. So what do you really want? Do you want just like a trophy? Do you want to just like have some bragging rights about like you won a novice division? Or do you want to get better? So you have to weigh those options to yourself. Only you can make this decision about what it is that you want to get out of this sport. So the other thing that can be tricky with novice divisions is sometimes there are no weight classes. I would like to, in a perfect world, have it separated into a heavyweight and a lightweight novice division. But for example, this past weekend, I asked all my novice competitors a couple weeks out, where their weights were, and the majority of them were pretty heavy. So it really wouldn't make sense to have like a 14-person heavyweight novice and then like a 3-person lightweight novice division. So it's tough to be a smaller competitor in these sort of things, which is a benefit of being in an open division. You have a lot of different weight classes. In USS, it depends on the promoter and what they put in, but I was allowing registrations for a 181, 220, 275, and a 275 plus. So if you're one of these guys that's, maybe 170 pounds on the smaller end, you're going to be competing against some people that are 300 plus pounds and sometimes double your size in an open weight novice division. So to have some, weights and competition that's a little closer to where you need to be as an athlete, that is one reason in itself why you might want to do an open division. So I really think it is important that you push yourself and get into these arenas and these environments where you're going to be challenged. Like we talked about with the risk of zeroing events, if you know you have a pretty heavy weight coming up that you might zero, it's going to incentivize you to train a lot harder for that and set your sights a lot higher, which will allow you to progress more overall in your training than if you were just going to go with some of these lower, lighter numbers, right? The other things that are really important about these heavier, harder, tougher open divisions is the pace of competition. So even though you might not zero some of these things, the caliber of athletes is just higher. So relating back to what do you really want out of this? Do you want to be a better athlete, or do you just want to walk away with some hardware? You can only understand the pace and the level of these things by being in those divisions. When I personally went to official Strongman games for the first time last year, I did have a lot of the strength and capabilities available, but I was not competing at a high caliber. I just did not understand what it took to hit the gas hard enough to be a top level athlete. So that's something that I went, saw, was exposed, and have figured out how to work on over the past year since that time, right? What an open division will also require you to do is just kind of take this more serious. If you have a lot more stakes, you're going to be more inspired to, get your sleep in, to eat properly, especially if you're close to making a weight class, to follow your training programs, to do mobility, to practice active recovery. So, this is one of those things where you're setting a higher goal to try and elevate yourself to a better standard. So keep saying it again. What do you really want out of this? Now, for some people, this is a hobbyist pursuit. Some people might rarely train for this sort of thing, and they just want to come in and have a fun time, and they don't have it in their lifestyle or even their desires to train very hard and seriously for strongman. So I don't necessarily completely discourage people from doing novice a handful of times, but if you are somebody who pretends to be about that life and you have the freedom and the luxury and the drive to train for strongman and these competitions as part of your lifestyle, you need to be considering and pushing yourself to do these open shows. I always hear, well, I want to win one before I go up. And I tend to hear this from people who have done this 3, 4, 5 times that have still not won one. Well, guess what? I think you would be a lot happier being bigger, stronger, more athletic, and a better overall athlete, even if you're finishing third in open versus first in the novice, right? So which one should you do? I keep saying it over and over. Do you want to be better, or do you just want to collect hardware? That's really what this all comes down to. For me, the sport of strongman is about the individual pursuit of excellence and getting better. So trophies, awesome. We want to win. That's why we do this. We want to be the best version of ourselves possible. But really, this is the journey is the destination, not the destination itself. So we're going to get better, stronger, and have more doors open up to us by pursuing these higher goals. Like I talked about earlier, what's your level of involvement or training? Some people may have a lot of training experience, like they could come from a CrossFit background or a weightlifting background and have never touched any of these strongman implements. Then it might make sense for you to come do a novice division for your first one and see how it goes. If you have no idea what's going on or what the scale is for somebody like you, okay? Some things too is some people kind of got to have a mindset shift that a loss is a lesson. Like I talk about with learning the pace, having to get yourself to a higher standard so you're not zeroing. These are lessons. You're going to learn 10 times faster by competing in a higher division than you ever will at a lighter weight, lower skill division. That's just how it works. It's not only like your live time that you're doing competing with these events themselves, but it's the people that are around you. You're going to be talking and networking with some better athletes, and you're going to see some examples of how that person does something or this person does something that you'll be really intimate with up close and personal, and you might be able to get some good ideas for your training and your next competition that will allow you to be better. Because the novice is typically these lower skill, lower experienced people, you're just not going to get those perks, benefits, and lessons in the same way. All right. So bigger goals require bigger commitment. This is really what this is all about. No matter how strong you are, no matter if you want to win or not, I think it's important to always orient and set your sights pretty high to allow yourself to rise up to a higher standard and just become better overall. It's okay to go into tough, hard competition because that's what's going to make you better faster. So if you're watching this and you're somebody who has been in novice a handful of times, just consider again, what do you really want to get out of this? I, as a promoter, cannot force you to go into an open division unless you already won one. But do you want to be better, or do you just want to, beat a bunch of first timers and lower skilled people? And I don't mean that derogatory or negatively in any way, because I really want to do whatever it takes to invite a lot of people in and get people involved in this sport. So, the other thing I would like to say about this as well is sometimes you do get these people, as I mentioned earlier, who have never been to a strongman show in any capacity whatsoever. They've just seen it on TV or just seen it online. So they have no idea how they're going to hang. Every once in a while we get those people and they come in and they just run shop on everybody in the division. I'm not calling you out, but Valerie, Georgian Strongman, Valerie came to Beast of the Bay in 2021, had never seen a strongman competition in person. The guy was a stud. He did beat everybody up pretty good that day, but he learned, went right away, started competing in the super heavyweight and a lot of bigger level shows, came back and got second the next year in the open. Okay, so that was somebody who, applied that lesson and mindset and realized okay, I need to set my sights higher. So Valerie, if you're watching, you the man, bro. Not a call out, nothing but respect. So that really is just kind of a quick rundown on novice versus open division in general. I think if you want to get better at this, you should be looking to get into this open division as fast as possible, even if you have a risk of zeroing and getting your butt kicked, because you're just going to get better faster. And that's what this is all about. So if you have any thoughts on novice versus open or anything else about strongman, would love to hear from you. Please drop some questions, comments, whatever you got for me in the comment section below. As always, thank you so much for watching and have a championship day.